This is the Non-Conforming Parsi, Nozzer Pardiwala, and you are listening to Bun Maska Season 3, the most successful formula to be unsuccessful. Formula number 5. Don't follow your dreams, follow a mirage. After a short hiatus, I looked for another job, trying my luck elsewhere. It was my then girlfriend, my partner for life now, who suggested me a job at a company which was opposite the Mumbai University campus. They were advertising outside the campus and she happened to chance upon it. I went in for a walk-in interview. When you are going in for a walk-in interview, definitely shall get a job. These are the guys who are looking out for graduates like me from any faculty with no other skills except the art of selling. And yes, selling is an art. I like it completely. I was told that by my senior in loud and clear words just within a week of training program. We were trained for the first 2 days in an air-conditioned closed room with whiteboard for presentation and some colored marker pens and an upbeat trainer. Our company was an associate for a bank and we were supposed to market credit cards. That was the time when people were just beginning to know what credit cards are and how it could be used. I had to convince people that with that card they could spend now and pay later. Pay definitely. If they wouldn't, they had to pay a small percentage of interest and keep paying the interest till they decide to pay up or the agency collection guys come knocking at their door. I wasn't convinced myself. Till date, I prefer using my debit card instead. At least I know how much I should splurge. After the 2-day intellectual masturbation, we were sent on field with a senior sales rep. Before we left, we were told to take leads from lovely young ladies at the computer in our office. That probably was the only best part of the job. After that, what started was painfully sorry. Going door to people's offices, their homes, changing buses, hopping from train to auto rickshaws, walking at places and then explaining how great it's going to be using a credit card. Answer to their queries as politely as possible, though at times you would feel like throttling the fellow for being so stupid and ignorant. And at the end of the day, you're, okay, I shall think about it. I shall ask my wife. Oh yes, call me tomorrow. And most of the time a simple no. I even went to my uncle's house thinking it would be easier convincing a relative. Actually, it wasn't. He was almost 4 years away from his retirement and computers were introduced on a massive scale. The company was training them for it. He had point blank refused. I had to convince a man to buy a credit card who was not even ready to adapt to a change as simple as a computer in his office. Unfortunately, he isn't alive to see what computers have done to us today. Credit cards came at an annual fee then and an additional add-on card for the spouse at half the cost. I couldn't convince my uncle at all. I had a nice hot cup of tea at his place and back on the field trying to convince some other leads. That was my first field day all by myself and I failed miserably. I knew it, but still my senior had to tell me aloud. You couldn't convince your own uncle? How the hell are you going to convince others? I felt like telling him the F word, but I just said it in mind. He said, you just have 2 tentative card sales and 1 pending lead in this week. We have targets, boss. I said all the cuss words I knew. Again in my mind. Tomorrow I am sending you with my best man and he will show you how to sell credit cards. I actually wanted to ask him, why the hell do we sell credit cards? I still said it in mind. And on my way back, tired, sweaty, in the crowded bus full of my clones, I told to myself, I definitely don't want to sell credit cards. For that matter, sell nothing. I left this one too, just to join another one for just a half day. Yes, I was on a job as a computer teacher for just half a day. Walk-in interview again. You always get the job. Here it was even faster. I was told to join that very day. I went into the computer lab and went around. No training, no formalities, just a plain, simple walk-in interview. I realized by then that walk-in interviews actually meant that a company or organization was in dire need of employees and they would just hire anyone close enough to their requirement, experience and aptitude hardly being the criteria. I went around, and the moment I realized someone was about to call for help, I would turn around and look into the other direction. Finally, somebody caught my eyeballs and I had to answer his query. The person next to him was my college friend and he immediately recognized me. He asked me if I was their new lab instructor. I said in disbelief, yes. He asked me when had I joined in, and I said, just minutes ago. I somehow managed to solve the other guy's doubt, and after a while every next person seemed to be calling me out for solving difficulties to which I had no answers. I was embarrassed like hell, especially when beautiful looking young girls of my age asked me doubts and I couldn't help them, and when big bullying guys elder to me called out for me, "Sir," just to challenge my half-earned knowledge. I was teaching in an institute where students knew more than their teacher. I knew now why the faculty at my very own reputed computer institute was so mediocre. I was appointed just after a 5 minutes interview without bothering to check for my aptitude or practical knowledge about computers. The system needed overhauling, for sure. But for the time being, what needed overhauling more was my career. I didn't know where I was going, but one thing I finally had come to conclusion was I was not cut out for jobs. I couldn't take instructions from seniors and I couldn't work 9 to 5 like a self-operated robot. I wasn't born to do a job. I at least made sense of that. I was at peace with myself. I had at least made some headway. Don't follow your dreams. Chase a mirage. Continue listening to the story of the Zygote in the next episode of Bun Maska Season 3, the most successful formula to be unsuccessful. Keep listening.